I made a mistake today. I turned on the news. Hello, everybody, and welcome to SuttonsDaze. If you're new here, my name is Lisa, and we are all about pantry preparedness because your pantry is the one commodity that will not devalue if you put it up right, if you store it right, if you stock it up at the best price. You have money in the bank that's actually more valuable than the money in your bank. Turned on the news today because I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently. So I'm listening to all of the doom and gloom from normal news, okay? And it got me looking, it got me thinking. I ended up down the rabbit hole again. This is never a good thing. We are coming up on 2024. So as I stated back in 2020, okay, this chaos is not going to end anytime soon. This isn't. And it's unfortunate. But it is life, and it's getting to be so much a part of life that we're all kind of getting used to it. But while you're getting used to it, it's also a really good time to pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on. Remember what you paid for stuff back in 2020 or 2019, and then 2020, 21, 22, 23, and what it could be like next year, because it's not looking very promising. So we're going to talk about a few items that you might want to take a look at stocking up on now, because it's not too late. Regardless of what somebody tells you, it is never too late to start being prepared. Never too late to start being prepared, because if you get it now, it beats the inflation that you're going to deal with tomorrow, okay? So don't pay attention to people that have had it for 4 or 5, 10 years, whatever. That's their thing. You do you. Start where you are with what you've got, with the space that you have allowed and the time that you have invested. Do it. Stock up something. Pay attention to this list, and hopefully we'll get through the next few years, because it's going to be a rocky ride. We're going to kind of go from 10 to 1 on this one, right? The standard. Oh my gosh, we're running out. No, we're not running out, okay? But flour and wheat. Hello, wheat and flour, flour and wheat. So they're talking about, oh gosh, okay, we know there's a war in Ukraine. We know they're the breadbasket of the world. We know that this is a complete ugh, right? They still grow wheat here in the U.S. I know some of it is shipped out of the country. Maybe that'll stop. There are still ways that you can fight the inflation that you're finding at the stores. Baking bread, just standard bread, is not difficult. I have a few different recipes on my channel. It's actually pretty easy, not very time consuming at all, something you can set up and walk away from. If you have no interest in baking bread, maybe a bread machine would be a great way to go. It forms it into a sandwich loaf for you even. It gives you recipes that are pretty much no fail. There are all kinds of ways to get ahead of the curve on this. As most of you know, I started stocking wheat instead of buying commercially ground flour. Now, I do still buy some commercially ground flour, but it's not good for long-term storage. I have multiple videos discussing this, so I'll have you go check those out if you want to find out about long-term storage. But wheat itself, wheat berries, farmers call it wheat. Wheat can last forever, literally, if properly stored. It can last forever. Commercially ground flour? Don't waste your Mylar bags. Please stop wasting your Mylar bags, okay? So when you consider everything that is created from that one simple grain, okay? You have your bread, you have your crackers, you have your snacks, you have your cookies. Everything, your breakfast cereals, everything is using wheat. Part of the reason probably why we import quite a bit of it. So learn how to make some of those yourself, offset those costs. The fact is that the price of the pre-made stuff has gone up exponentially. The price of the ingredients has not gone up as much. If you can purchase the ingredients and make it yourself, and you're preaching to the choir, I know busy very well. You can make a little bit of time, throw some bread in the oven. Do it while you're watching Netflix. I used to get great deals on butter. I love butter. Butter is so good. I love butter. So when I started watching the prices over the last few years increase, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing margarine. No, never. Not going to happen. There's an issue with butter. Okay, so learning how to find those sales. I know it's difficult. Learning how to make your own, which may or may not be cost effective. I don't find it any cheaper than buying it, okay? Unless you run across a sale on heavy whipping cream. If you can get that on sale or on clearance and spend the time beating up your own butter, Go for it. Oh my gosh, do it and freeze it. I wish I could find a sale on heavy whipping cream. Never, never. But some people do, I know, so jump on it if you can. Fat is an essential item that most of us use for cooking. It's actually necessary for our bodies. We do have to have fat, okay? So it's a good time to find alternatives. Butter powder. Butter powder is a great alternative. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it's a really great alternative if you can't get butter. Another great alternative is lard. Super simple, lard. It doesn't taste like bacon. Oh, if it tasted like bacon, shush. Anyway, save your bacon fat. Hello? Yeah. There are alternatives that you can use. There are things that you can do to replace that butter that don't include margarine. They were predicting a tomato shortage. I dropped the ball on this, and so I'm very sorry about that one because I don't know how bad it has hit. So if tomatoes have been an issue for you where you are and locating them for a good price, I know the prices have gone up. That I do see, okay? But if I don't see another tomato for another 6 months, I think I might be happy because I was buried in tomatoes for my garden. One of the solutions is to try to grow some yourself. Obviously, it's a little late in the season for that one, right? But tomatoes, thus tomato products, your sauces, your condiments, tomatoes. Yeah, they're still saying that that's an issue. And they're still saying that they didn't get as many as they originally had thought that they were going to get. And so, yeah, there's a shortage of tomatoes. What you may see if you're going into the grocery stores, though, and that's something to pay attention to, is you'll notice a lot of the grocery stores did a little reformatting, okay? And they widened their aisles. Wasn't that nice of them to make room for us? I thought so, too. No, if you widen the aisles, you actually get to remove shelving. It requires less shelving, which means they can put more stuff into a smaller area to make it look like it's full. Yeah, it's a really great optical illusion. What you will notice is that instead of having 15 selections of some kind of ketchup, there may be only 10 or 8 or 7. So the selections are going down. Now, I haven't done a whole bunch of homework on this, depending on who you listen to, most of the ketchup is made by a couple places anyway. So, it's just different bottles, different price ranges. It's happening with all of our food and with most of our grocery stores. The selection is getting lower because they are not producing the vast array of selection that we have been used to for quite a few decades now. Another way to do it is to learn to make your own. Ketchup is super simple to make. Super simple to make. Pet food. We've been talking about this for a little while. And there's a few of the next ones here that kind of intertwine. Pet food has become an issue. It's become a major issue. Dry food is not good for long-term storage. It's literally good for only about 6 months, okay? So if you can do like I did, you go buy 6 months worth of food, stock it up, then you know that you just have to backfill as you move forward. In reality, now let's talk about cat food for a minute. I have canned cat food, wet cat food that I feed my cat. And I buy it by the case and I have it delivered from Sam's Club because it's convenient, because it has a variety that I can't find walking into a store. And the price wasn't bad. In the last 365 days, that case has gone up over $10 for the same amount of cans. There's 2 factors in this. One is the food itself. The actual food for our pets is more expensive. The meat that we're feeding them, the meat that is going into their food, costs more. The grain that's going into their food costs more. The vegetables that goes in there costs more, okay? So the food itself increased in price. But then what is it in? If it's in a can, that increased also. Aluminum is still in short supply and the price is on the rise, seriously on the rise. If you are a pet owner, then you are aware of how difficult it can be to find canned pet food. And that's unfortunate because that is a longer term shelf-stable food for them as opposed to dry food. It's also a little more pricey, push come to shove, but I love my pups. So with the aluminum shortage, you also run into issues with your commercially canned fruits, vegetables, meats, all that fun stuff, because what's it in? It's in a can. It's a great solution for stockpiling food. It's a wonderful solution for stockpiling food. But the price of the aluminum is increasing. The price of the vegetables and fruits are increasing. And so the price of everything is increasing. A way to combat this, as most of you know, is to can it yourself. Yes, absolutely. Stick it in those glass jars, okay, and put it up on your shelf. That is a cost-effective way to not have to deal with the increased price of aluminum. Yes, there are the lids to contend with. You have the reusable lids that are out there. I still prefer the metal lids. I still prefer the one-use lids. If you use them more than once, don't tell me, I don't care. But it's the one-use lid that is easy and convenient. And as most of you know, I am a huge fan of 4Jars canning lids. I started using them back during the pandemic because they were the company that heard us, that listened to us, that didn't try to price gouge us, that gave us a quality product for the right price point. They are super wonderful people, absolutely fantastic. There's a coupon code. Yeah. So if you purchase it, you save 10%. It helps me out. It helps me do things like this so that we can continue chatting with each other. And it's a great company. This is such a fantastic family. Anyway, I digress. So learning to can your own foods is a great way to skip the aluminum shortage, okay? To skip those higher prices for the aluminum cans for the foods that we buy. You've seen in previous videos that I did where I did stock up shopping, there are some things that I just don't have the time, energy, or ambition to stick into a jar myself. Peaches this year for a bushel were $70 here. I didn't have time. I was in the middle of tomato hell, and there was no way I was going to make time for peaches, not at $70 a bushel. It is better for me to go to the store and buy them in the can. Bioengineered, blah, that. Pick your battles, folks. Pick your battles, okay? But if you want to save money on aluminum, learn how to can. Vegetables and seed oils are not good for us. We know this. This is not a news flash, okay? If you want to save your body and save some time, rendering your own fat, rendering your own lard is a great substitute for vegetable and seed oil. It really, really is. And it's much healthier for you. But I digress. Talk to your doctor. You do you. You can go to your local butcher and request it, okay? But you need to start looking at different things because vegetable oil, seed oils, prices are going up. I've noticed it. And for somebody who doesn't really buy it, I've noticed it. So that is another thing that you need to pay attention to. Because if you do use it, you need to pay attention to how long you have it. Most oils don't really look to last beyond a year on your shelf, and that's in optimal conditions. So you want to look for substitutions. That's really important for all of these things, is to figure out a substitution or figure out how to stockpile what you need from the list. Anybody that knows me knows don't get between me and my morning coffee. Don't do it. It's not safe for anybody. But they're still talking about the weather that impacted the coffee harvest and how prices are going up. I have noticed prices go up. And there's one, I stopped purchasing the one coffee that I really enjoyed because it went up $10 for a pound. It went up $10 a pound. Now I find alternative ways to do it, and I mix my flavored coffee with regular plain old Folgers or Maxwell House or whatever, right? And get that same effect that I like for a lot less. So take a look at different ways that you can stock up coffee or have some freeze-dried coffee as an emergency backup. Weather, fertilizer, labor. Those impacted your local farms. Yes, they did. Your local farms are having trouble getting the produce out because of the weather, because of the fertilizer necessary, and because of the labor necessary. They're not getting as much, which is then trickling down to us where we don't have as much variety either, even if you are going to your local farms. So if you can't grow it yourself and you rely on your local farmer, number one, I applaud you because these people do not make enough for the responsibility that is on their shoulders to make sure that the people in this country are fed. And I really do applaud our farmers. Those are some hardworking people with some major expenses that literally can lose everything, absolutely everything. So if you can buy local in any way, shape, or form, do it. But this is what they're running into. They're running into issues because of weather and labor and the fertilizer costs needed to grow that mass amount that they do on the land. It's really rough for the local farmers. So try to get out there and support your local farmers. If you go to a farmer's market, try to make sure that you're purchasing from a local farmer. Last but not least, it's been on the list for a long time. Most of you know it because it's what we've been focusing on a lot. Beef. Where's the beef? God, I missed that lady. Beef prices are not looking to come down anytime soon. They're not. Now, poultry prices are starting to come down, right? But beef prices, God, it's just so sad. On average, for a brisket, they are charging now $1.50 more a pound than they were a year, 2 years ago, for just about any beef. Now, to listen to the experts who are out there, they say, oh, it only went up like 5 point whatever percent. No. If you pay attention and you go to the grocery store, you know it went up a lot more than 5%, okay? Sometimes as much as 30 and 40%, depending on what it is. And the quality is, okay, you're having a little trouble getting some decent quality there. The feed for the animals has gotten astronomical. The cycle for raising the animals has been cut short because they can't afford to feed them for as long as they used to make the little bit of money that they make off of them. It's a really bad, vicious cycle out there, and I don't know how we're going to shoot that hamster off that wheel. I really don't. I love beef. We're carnivores here. I love beef. And I know that the price of beef that we looked at the other day was up significantly. It was up about $3 a pound. Yeah. Did I buy it? Yes, because it's going to be up $5 a pound probably in January. So I still bought it. It's in my freezer. Life is good. Do what you can. Go to your local farms. If you live in the middle of the city and you put something up on Facebook Marketplace, or you ask people at work, or you ask, friends that you're interested in buying a half a cow, or you're interested in buying a pig, or let people know. Trust me, you do not look ridiculous asking this question. A lot of people don't know. I remember when I didn't know. I didn't know where to go to do this. Short of putting a billboard up saying, yo, how do I do this? You just have to keep asking around until you find somebody with an answer. That's probably the most economical way to purchase your meat, your proteins, and it supports your local farmers who need the support more now than ever. Beef is going to continue to be an issue. They started culling their herds because they can't afford to keep feeding them. So there's an influx. But because of the people that run all of it, we're not really seeing a reduction in price, okay? But coming up here next year, we're going to start seeing a shortage because they don't have the replacement animals for that. Is this a time to go to Beyond Beef? No, it is not. Wait. Stock up now. Do whatever you got to do, but no, okay? Support your local farmers. It's super important that we start paying attention to where our food is grown, where our food is raised, what kind of practices are in place. I don't believe in mass barns filled with a bunch of animals who are living their worst life ever. I want my food to come from happy animals, because happy animals make good food. They don't have to be stuck with red dye and all whatever the grocery stores are putting into them. You want to make sure to get the best quality food that you can for wherever you are. But beef is going to continue to be an issue and can become a pretty big one in 2024. So I hope that you guys will take this list, look at different ways that you can go about substituting these things, changing these things. Like instead of commercially ground flour, start learning how to do wheat, okay? The money that you're going to save by learning how to grind your own wheat and how to make your own bread with it is going to be amazing. You will see a return on investment very soon, okay? And then there's that sense of accomplishment that comes with it. The same thing with going out and making your own jams, your own jellies, growing your own tomatoes if you have the possibility, or buying from a local farmer, making sure that your pets are set up and cared for, regardless of what else is going on, so that you can do what you do. Simple thing like pet food, that's $10 that I'm saving for every 2 months worth of food for the cat. That's $30 every 6 months. Thank you. That's $30 every 6 months that I'm saving right now because I purchased it when it was less expensive. That's one item. With a little bit of effort and a little bit of work, you can get a whole bunch of items to do that same exact thing. This is money in the bank. This is a commodity that will not depreciate. This is my security blanket, and it's what's going to make sure that me and mine are taken care of during the worst of times or the most difficult times, whether that be weather-related, job loss, medical, or the end of the world. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Check out this video here for a little bit more information, and until next time, be safe.